What's going on? What's going on? It's your boy IKone. And once again, we're here on 910 Sports TV. Yeah, first and foremost, I want to thank God for this opportunity because without him, there'll be no us. Secondly, I got my right hand man. Tell me over here, I got the coach himself, Coach Lamont P. Goins. What's going on, brother?
Hey man, listen, it's another week, and as Jacob says, another week to be in the land of the living. Glad to be there, man, and it is it's wide open in the world of sports, so it's always a pleasure to be on, brother.
Yeah, so I guess Jacob must got the Easter hangover tonight. I don't know what's going on. Maybe ate too many eggs last week or something. We both took some time off. We all took some time off for the holidays, and I went out to the beach, had probably too much fun or whatever. Down there with the grandkid and family and all that. So, but we back. So
Absolutely.
we're gonna jump right into this thing, and like we were talking offline. Well, I tell you what, before we get to that, I want to talk about this first. I
Okay.
want to talk about Stephen A. Smith.
Wow.
And I was talking about this a little bit. And I said, basically, somebody on my live the other day, and I said, is Stephen A. Smith crashing out in front of us? Is he basically in real time losing his edge, his marbles, and he losing everything in front of us? And it was a movie that came on years ago. Um, it was called, I forgot the name of it, but the guy, okay, so you ever watch Living Single, the show
Yep.
Living Single back in the day? Remember I think it was Cal Barker,
Yep.
the one that played Cal Barker, and he played in this movie where he was a anchor. And then they basically, he was from the hood and, the guy had his different slang words and this, that, and the third. And he became an anchor on this show, on this movie, and became basically he started acting white, basically. Where even when he would look in the mirror, his face would turn white, and he started hanging on. He went from dating the sister to dating the white girl, and he basically everything about him changed. You know what I'm saying? And he pretty much sold out. And and it's kind of like real time because it's like every time you turn around, Stephen A. is beefing with one of his own colleagues. Not one start off with the players, whether it was LeBron or over here with KD and all this one, that one. But now it's you got the Cam Newton, you got the Jason Whitlocks, you got either the this past week the Matt Barnes situation. I don't know if you heard about that, but it's just one thing after another with him and people that known him for 10, 15, 20 years, like, bro, this you ain't the Stephen A. we know. And the thing about Stephen A is that typical narcissist type of person. Oh, it's not me, it's y'all. You know what I'm saying? And I get it. Sometimes it be the other people when you come up. But I think in this real time situation and the things when he go on CNN and Fox and basically talk about black women and dog this one out and dog that one out and stand up for Trump and all that. No, bro, it seems like it's you. On this one. You know what I mean? So what's your thoughts on this, coach?
Yeah, you know what? I think I think part of the issue is, and I'll use the franchise analogy. So what made McDonald's was the Big Mac. When you start selling, it's like you roll up McDonald's and all of a sudden you're gonna start ordering ribs and pizza. And I think sometimes Stephen A's going down that line. He's in the political realm, right? And it's just like, okay, what made you who you are is not where you going now. And I'm not saying anything. There's nothing wrong with growth, but he can get, and it's his job to analyze players and but you can't be wishy-washy. You can't talk out of both sides of your neck. You get too wide, you get too thin. And of course, he's making the dollars, and it may be okay. You know what? I'm the highest paid guy on ESPN, or probably one of the highest paid guys on ESPN. He's got his hands and everything, and sometimes, as the old saying goes, don't worry about what Mr. Charles can do for you. You worry about what Mr. Charlie can do to you, right? So how
Mm-hmm.
long they gonna let him run before all of a sudden you're gonna hear the oop, right? When I say oop, that means that rope, right? Right? Because they
Mm-hmm.
got boundaries on them, right? And he don't think they got boundaries on them. You can play that game you want to, right? If they went after OJ, they went after Bill Cosby. Ain't nobody safe, right? So
Mm-hmm.
in that whole process, you got to tread light because, like, if I ever met him and sit down and had conversation with him, I'd tell him exactly what I just said. Don't worry about what Mr. Charles can do for you. You worry about what Mr. Charles can do to you. He's just got to I think he just needs to reel it in and keep the main thing, and because you can't be everything to everybody. You can't.
Mhm.
He can't be the Walmart of sports commentating, right? He can't be
Mhm.
that guy. Now he's gonna try to jump over there in the political realm, and it's just, come on, Steve. Stay in your lane and do the things that made you successful, and quit trying to double dip and call everybody out. I mean, because it's sometimes it's almost to the point, and I'm not saying I don't agree. I mean, a lot of the things that he says in the sports world, I agree with it because it is his job to call out whether good, bad, or ugly. But then there comes a point in time is to say, okay, you know what? I can make a comment and move on, and I don't have to turn around and just be slinging mud. If a guy had a
Mhm.
bad game, call it out a bad game. If a guy said just like Bron, I mean, why is Bronny James in the NBA? Because his daddy's LeBron
Yeah.
James. And guess
Yeah.
what? That's fine. You know what? I'm
Mhm.
good with that. He ain't at there starting, right? And he's gonna get somebody. And somebody says, "Well, he shouldn't be." Well, guess what? It's LeBron James. If the owners want to give his son a spot on the roster, give his son a spot on the roster. Ain't taking no food off your plate, Stephen A. So leave the young kid alone and let him do it. Let it. Think about it. I mean, it's never been done before. Even LeBron's doing the numbers that he's putting up. It's never been done before. But yeah, Stephen A. He's got to be careful because just as quick as he rolls up on the ladder, it's pretty fast fall when you come off the ladder.
Well, I'm gonna say this. Well, say this. This is a really fun fact. What people may not, a lot of people don't realize. You know who's the best, probably 55th overall pick in the last 20 years is
We say the fifth.
the fit. So Bronny James was 55th pick, right?
Okay, right.
You know who's the best, considered the best 55th pick in the last probably 20 years? Let's just say from the time LeBron's been in the league. That's the best 55th pick that in the NBA. That like if all the players that was picked 55th. You know who the best players is in that on at the 55th pick?
Who's that?
Patty Mills.
Wow.
Now Patty Mills is a good player, but
Absolutely.
we making it seem like the 55th pick was Jordan, Kobe, and them. You know what I'm saying? Well, we got our brother back. We got our brother that stepped in the building. You know what I'm saying? Jacob, what you had Tim and the egg last week or whatever was going on?
What's going on?
Can you hear us?
You said what, brother?
I said, what you had too many eggs last week or something? I know you was gonna make it on. Oh, they might have him in
You,
the cave in Iran somewhere.
you, you really know I'm a
Yeah, we
superstar,
know.
man. So I don't know why you act like that, bro. Stop acting like that, man. You know who I be, man. Don't act like
My
that,
bad.
man.
My bad. I know what was going on. I text you. I know if they caught you in Iran or somewhere, put you in the cave or something. I know what
No,
was
no,
going
no,
on.
no, no, no. I actually was moving furniture when you text me.
Oh, okay. Well, moving furniture. Well, who you not fighting, Jacob? You been moving furniture. What you furniture move? What
Yeah,
you
yeah,
ain't
yeah,
there fighting, Jacob?
yeah. My somebody gave my niece a whole kitchen set. End
Oh, okay.
tables, dining tables, everything. So, she wants to move it. So
Okay. Well, we talk about this SAS, this Stephen A. Smith crashing out, and I went in our own. And me and you talk about this sometimes, and I feel like this last thing with Matt Barnes is the. And before you say something, I was gonna say this to Coach. If you look at the Mike Tiricos, you look at
Yep.
Stuart Scotts, you look at Ahmad Rashads, you look at those guys, just the black analysts or whatever, some of the most prominent ones. They didn't have to be coonish. They didn't have to be
Mm,
outlandish. They didn't have to be all the extra to be successful in their career. The Mike Wilbons. They didn't have to be extra to be successful. Stephen A created this extraness to feel like to be to be successful. So you have other people that come behind him sometimes to feel like that's the way to go. But at the end of the day, it's not like you have to. They I think they put at the top of the pole because the white people like it when you're extra. They like it when you're coonish. You know what I'm saying?
mm.
And he doesn't have to be coonish, you know what I'm saying, to be successful. But for some
Oh,
reason, he feels like he has to be coonish to be successful. But go ahead, Jacob.
right.
What you think?
So,
I think he did.
you talking about Stephen A?
Yeah.
Coonish, that's crazy, man.
Why
He
you say
been
that? You
dead for
there?
years.
Okay. Yeah. 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 But the thing was, he was coonish, but he always like the thing that made Stephen A. stand out was being the he was articulate. And when he would speak on topics, it has some merit behind it. It has some oh okay, I understand where you're going. We get it. Some of us, the black folks that's not that don't feel like that you got to go down that road. When you heard Stephen A. Smith when he came, he kind of made us feel good about ourselves. Because now you seen this educated black man. Yeah, he got a little hood to him, or he talking a little hood, but he talking educated at the same time. Now it's like Stephen A. Think about it. Stephen A. don't really use big words no more like he did. You know what I'm saying? Stephen A. used to be like the TI of analysts. He don't use them big words no more. He just be on there just talking crazy now. You know what I'm saying? So that's for what I see. And I used to watch the show every day. I done cut down
Well,
way.
well, well. He got to do what Master say. If Master say tap dance, he got to tap dance. A Master ain't gonna get you no new shoes, and the new shoes, and them, that new shoes is that check. You know what I mean? Yes, the Master. Yeah, Master, I do it.
And his favorite saying is, "You tap dancing more than Gregory Hines." It's funny how ironic that is. And he tap dance more than Gregory Hines when it comes to his masters and what they tell him to do, and the bosses this and the boss. One thing I never look yesterday, I don't like the word when you say bosses. Like especially as a black man, I hate when people use that word. Well, my boss said, like, what is this gun line? What's this life? What we doing? You know what I'm saying? You can
Right.
just say
Yeah.
upper management or my
Oh yeah.
job. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like when you say my
It
Oh
sound
boss,
yeah.
it,
that just
Stephen A.
sounds
sound
Yeah.
like the dude from Green Mile. I got something I need to tell you, boss.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. I don't like when somebody walks up to me and say, "How you doing, boss?" I'd be like, "Excuse me." Right? Like, how you doing, boss? No, 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 no. You taking me back? Like, no, no. My name is Lamont. Right? Don't
Mm-hmm.
call me boss. And just like I tell my guys at work, they walk in about no, no, no. I don't sign nobody's check at Best Buy. Right? Whoever signs your check signs my check. We work together. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
everybody has somebody to report to, but I ain't nobody's boss, and you don't refer to me because I'll check you in a minute because I'll be like, "Excuse me, what'd you say?" Because I don't know why that thing was. It's just it's something that's really surfaced. That's a whole different show to go down there. But yeah, but Stephen A. And this is what I said, Jacob, to IKone. Stephen A. just he's really too wide on his franchise. He's like McDonald's trying to serve pizza. It's like going to Kentucky Fried Chicken and asking for a cheeseburger. He's trying to be that chef with too many irons on the fire. He's gonna end up messing around and gonna get some stuff stuck in his pots. And don't worry about what Mr. Charles can do for you. Worry about what Mr. Charles can do to you. So he needs to really
Yeah,
self in and set himself up for success.
and the thing of it, before we move on to the next topic, the thing about it is he said something very key this week. He said his colleagues and athletes have been trying to get him fired. When it gets to that point, because this is the thing that people kind of may be missing. It's one thing when you get into it with the Cam Newton or the Ryan Clarks or the Matt Barnes, but when you have the
Sure.
the, the Rich Eisens, and you have them white analysts kind of talking about how you doing your job. That's when you better really be careful. You know what I'm saying? Because they might not be
Absolutely.
as high as you as far as the pay and the power, but at the end of the day, it's still their world. You know what I'm saying? And
Absolutely.
you better be very careful how you deal with certain people. That's all I'm gonna
Absolutely.
say. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, we can move on to the next topic. We can move on to this Mike Malone getting hair hired by our Tar Heels. It's been very nerve wracking this past week, to say the least, for myself. I don't know about how y'all feel, but it's been nerve wracking for me to go on social media every day and you get all these fake news about this, that, and the third. And we finally got our man, our guy. So basically, I'm gonna let Jacob, you start off with this one. How you feel about the Mike Malone hiring?
Man, I think it's a spectacular hire. I think, man, that he's going to do something where you remember when Arkansas had their press defense, man, and man, it was the best press defense that college ever had. I think Mike Malone is going to do something spectacular on the defensive side of the ball, and defense win ball games, offense sell tickets, and so I think it's a great hire. Um, and being that Denver Denver been in the NBA for 176 years, and he brought them their first championship. You know, Denver been in the NBA so long, man. John the Baptist passed Hezekiah the ball. You know what I mean? And Mike Malone brought them a championship. So that's all I got to say, man. Great hire.
Go ahead, coach.
Man, I tell you what, I don't know if I don't know if I can touch that or not. Yeah, I'm kind of mixed on it. Again, I don't have no dog in the fight in Chapel Hill. Of course, wish him success. I'm glad he was able to retain Sean May, Pat Sullivan, because when the head coach goes out, it affects everybody. Not just the head coach; it also affects everybody's way of living and family involved. So I'm glad he was able to keep a couple guys. It seemed like he's bringing in some his I think his associate head coach is a former Arkansas coach. So he's gonna bring it in, and it's here it is, right? It all gonna boil down to who he can get in the building, right? They gave him a boatload of money, so now 7-year deal, I think 70, 80 million. And he was talking about in the press conference, talking about in competition with Duke. You can be in competition with Duke, but you ain't Mike Krzyzewski on the other end of that phone call, calling that kid into Cameron. So and I think hopefully he'll lean into Roy. But you may get guys, and everybody. Here's the thing that I think everybody was shocked with the amount of players that have left the program, right? And they're like,
Mhm.
well, he came in, and we thought we was able to. No, that's everybody, right? Everybody, and that Duke's lost a couple kids, and of course the guys on UConn, they're gonna have to open up some pay to keep those guys. But I think Malone and his staff, and of course, I don't know how much they ever wanted Hubert Davis there. This is definitely outside the box hire. Hated for, I'm just gonna call it out. Hated for Stackhouse, who was, I thought he proved, and I thought he did a good job when he was at Vanderbilt. But he maybe, and again, I'm not trying to say that they may not ever hire a person of color, and it's not about the race of the individual coach, but they gave Hubert a shot. And one thing about it, and I told these guys years ago when Hubert went to the national championship his very first year, I said it's only going to be downhill from there, because you did it your first year, right? Now you can be John Shire, and you can go to the Final Four, you can go to Elite Eight, and you can hang around. But if you ain't pulling the trigger and you winning in Chapel Hill, whether or not, well, he lost in the first round, okay, yeah, but you ain't had your best play on the floor. How far would Duke gone without Boozer? But Malone's done it in the NBA, which is a little different. And the same thing, just like Jacob said, he brought the first NBA championship there, but also he did have the league's MVP. When was the last time Denver had an MVP on the roster? And then plus, Joker didn't do it by himself. He surrounded himself with great guys. For some reason, Denver didn't want to keep him. I don't know if that was a front office deal. I don't know the background behind that, but I wish him success. And of course, they gonna roll the money out to him, and that's what you got to do. You want to win, pull the plastic out, and we'll see to be able to make that gel. Because it's a little different. Because when you coaching in the NBA, you don't go get players. That's what the GM does. So that's what they're trying to do in college basketball. They've got a GM now. Of course, the head coach is going to sit down there and they're going to be bringing guys in. But it's going to be interesting. But it makes it for an exciting time in college basketball. Because think about not just Malone. You think about Boston College. You think about Syracuse, a new coach. You think about Georgia Tech with a new coach. There's just a lot of new coaches, and it's just free agency at its best. So best of luck to Coach Malone.
Well, I'll say this is that I know that I forgot the guy's name, but he's supposed to be like the guru or one of the best when it comes to recruiting players. I forgot the guy's name that they mentioned him that he brought in, and I would say this: the thing I love to hire for just to say that up front. But the thing that's disturbing to me with young people, and I don't know if it's just them making the decisions, or they have parents behind them. I'm pretty sure they have moms and dads and uncles and whoever, aunt, whoever behind them helping them make decisions. But when Mike Malone came in with all that, background to him and a NBA championship, did these players really give him an opportunity to really sit down and talk to him and really make a decision? Because we got 8 players to leave, that's leaving. And I know everybody was a lot of these players were Hubert Davis's guys and all that kind of stuff. But when you got an opportunity to be able to be developed by somebody that understands what it is to be in the NBA. There's one thing if you're a college coach and you're trying to develop a player to be better. But if you already been at the highest mountain so that means you understand, you don't have to be on the college level to understand how to be in the NBA if you're already there. So if I'm already there and I've already been successful, I don't have to go back to be success to understand what to do to be up here. You know what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, some of the little nuances stuff you may have to learn about college basketball or whatever. But at the end of the day, to be great, he understands practice, development. You know what I'm saying? How to deal with certain things on a day-to-day basis. So him being a coach will help, especially with the big man, because the big man is the one element in NBA that's lost. And the new big man has to really be developed more than the guard. The guards and the wings are going to always be the guard and the wings. But them big men, they have to be developed to understand how to be strong in the post, great rebounders, defense, and at the same time, maybe have to be able to shoot 3 points or have some kind of 15 to 20-foot jump shot to even get on the court in the NBA. So I just feel like some of these players, and I'm not just talking about Carolina players, I'm talking about players in general. When they decide to leave a team, are you really looking at the coach or you just caring about the money? Because the money, okay, let's just say you get the money you want for the 1 or 2 years that you were in college. But then what happens if you're not good enough in the NBA? Then what was it all for? You get a couple of million for them first couple of years in college, but then you go to the NBA and you flame out like the Anthony Bennett. You know what I'm saying? Or somebody like that. You look like the kid that was at Atlanta that looked like he might be a bust. You know what I'm saying? Remember, people don't realize he was the number 1 pick last year. This boy could barely get on the court with Atlanta. You know what I'm saying? So those little things like that just kind of really disturb me when it comes to these players not really understanding, like, okay, I got a coach like Mike Malone. Let me step into that and maybe give him at least 1 year to help develop me to get me to that next level. You know what I'm saying? Or whatever the case may be. Because some of these guys from Carolina got no business transferring. The hell, they was better to get on the court in Carolina. So what make you think you just automatically go somewhere else and just be great? You know what I'm saying? And the ones that had success, wouldn't you want to be developed even more by a coach like Mike Malone? But that's just my whole spiel on it.
No, let me jump in on that real quick. Is you're touching. I mean, you touched all the bases, right? So part of what I'm gonna say it like this. Some of my inside sources are telling me that the biggest thing is parents. So, well, all right, I'm going to use you, IKone. So you're at Carolina. So you're a sophomore. And in that money, and if it's $14 million on that NIL deal, you're knocking down $250,000, right? Now, school, you had a decent year, whatever. Now you get a phone call. Now somebody's gonna offer you $700,000, right? So you make 250 Carolina. Now here's Jacob offering you 500,000. A lot of parents are in your ear and saying, "Hey, man, that's $500,000." So now they jumping to get 500,000. So long story short, they make $2 million in their basketball career in college. Now, like you said, here's the scenario: you go to NBA, you crash and burn. This joker got to go out and get a job making barely $70,000, right? So what the league or the NCAA better look at, NCAA better implement some what they call it for the mind. Oh gosh, why am I drawing the blank?
Right.
Some skills, some HR, right? Some of that, because guess
Uh-huh.
what? When you don't have that, think about it, you made $2 million, and by the time you 21, 22, 23 years old, you made $2 million. Now what have you drug your lifestyle up to? So now when I come out and I don't make an NBA, I got to go ahead and get a real job. That I got to get up and go to work 5 days a week, and I'm barely making $70,000. That's mental health issues. Because you ain't gonna go out
Mm-hmm.
for 2 years. I made $500,000. Now I gotta go ahead and get a real job, and I'm making $70,000. So what did I do? What did I do with that $2 million? How much money did my mom and dad, did they want a new house? Did I buy them a new house? And
Mm-hmm.
again, when mom and dad say, "Oh, you got to go over this school," he's offering you 700,000. Yeah, so I can do what? Fly around the country and be at every one of your ball games, because every parent can't be Carlos Bougie. So I think
Mm-hmm.
they got to be careful with that, because when that glass ceiling cracks, you gonna have to go punch a time clock or go somewhere and make $70,000 a year, and it's like, you in that house and that
Mm-hmm.
$2 million, man, that's a whole lot of toilets to keep flushing when you ain't bringing that bank in.
And to think about this before we move on, Camden Boozer stayed with Duke.
See,
The Keon Anthony stayed with Syracuse. Feel what I'm saying? So that's Carmelo's son, Carlos Boozer's son. Both of them stayed at their programs. They
yeah,
didn't jump, and Keon Anthony was having all kind of issues with the coach. But then when they hired them, when they brought after they brought a new coach into Syracuse, I believe, if I'm not mistaken,
yep.
and he didn't jump ship. He could have easily used the excuse, well, I got recruited by the other coach, I'm gonna jump ship. Doggone the
That mo-
Camden Boozer. They said that he was having I guess mental health issues because of the way the game ended. He could have
right.
said, I can't handle the pressure of being behind Duke playing after my brother left and after my dad left. Let me try another school. He could have easily used that for a reason to leave, but he didn't do it. Feel what I'm
They,
saying? So at
they
the end
don't
of the
need the
day,
money.
all I'm just telling is what I'm saying. Like I said, the money, that little bit of money now may work like right now, but what you said, most of these kids are gonna blow through
Ab-
$2 million in the next
Absolutely, they
4 or
will.
5 weeks. They just gonna
And
blow
it,
through it. That's just the way
and,
young people are.
and
You
then
know what I'm saying?
that's when they're really gonna have problems. That's why they have to have that whole mental health capacity. And then, and here's the thing: NCAA is creating it, and when it blows up,
Mm-hmm.
then I
Yep.
can't remember the former player for Cleveland that's on Skid Row a lot of times. He was a guard when LeBron was there. But you don't want them. I mean, it's a train wreck waiting to happen, man.
Mm-hmm. Hey Jacob, I got something for you.
I'm
You
listening.
there, Jake? I got it. I was watching, and this is for both of y'all, but this for my boy Jacob. I was watching the documentary on the Big East this morning. And I said,
Ooh,
I cast it. I'm gonna ask the guys this. One, let's start from here. Is the Georgetown versus Villanova championship game the greatest upset in college basketball history?
no.
No,
Okay. What is y'all's?
Go ahead, Jake.
the greatest upset in college basketball history is when everybody tried to put the 5-5 on that pedestal, and when Chris Webber called that time out. Because if he hadn't have called that time out, uh, Carolina might have would not have won. You know what I mean? But that time I killed him, man. And so I think that was because people always remember when they talk about the 5-5, they're like, oh man, how did he know not to call the time out? Why did he call the time out, man? The coach ain't even do it. What was wrong with him? That's what I hear people say all the time.
Well, let me say this. That team I watch, I don't know if y'all seen it, but you could think you make it go online now. You probably could go on one of these streaming networks. They showed the documentary of the 95 Carolina team. And
Mm-hmm.
that I mean 93 Carolina team, that whole run. And basically when they got to the Carolina course, everybody thought, like Jacob said, everybody thought Michigan was the better team. But like Carolina was saying, one, we had the better team overall. They might have had the better some of the more talent from the five, but the team wise, we was a better team and we had the better coach. They said they didn't really won that game, not really based off of the individual players, but they won the game because of Dean Smith's mind and the way how to coach against this Fab Five. The same way I think Coach K beat them the year before, that it was more of Coach K knew how to coach against the Fab Five. You know what I'm saying? So to
So I
me, and then that whole timeout thing, Got to remember now, Carolina was still up by 2. So even if he wouldn't have called that timeout, it's no guarantee they would have scored on that next play. Because Carolina was still up by 2 when he called that timeout. You know what I'm saying?
Or IKone, would you say that 17 footer that Michael Jordan hit against Georgetown? Because people say that Georgetown was expected to win that game.
Okay. But
Because if we look at Michael
Georgetown was
Jordan's
even
team,
better when they lost to Villanova, wasn't they? Go ahead.
yeah, but if we look at the way Georgetown played that year and the way people knew Michael, but they didn't know Michael. That jump
Mm-hmm.
shot was the biggest probably shot of his life of his college career. You know what I mean? And it was a huge
Mm-hmm.
upset because everybody knew that Patrick Ewing was gonna get that championship.
Okay, let's go back to that for a second. Okay, so y'all I can't remember everybody, so y'all might have to recollect my mind. It was Michael Jordan on that team, James Worthy. Who else was some of the big dogs on that
Sam
team?
Perkins,
Y'all name me a couple other players.
Sam
Sam
Perkins,
Perkins,
Jimmy Black,
Blackman,
uh,
yeah,
and Matt
Jimmy
Doherty.
Black,
And Matt
and
Doherty.
Matt Doherty. So
That was the 5.
so 3 of those players went on to have successful. Of course, we know Jordan, but so 3 of the players on Carolina went on to have successful NBA careers, like it's great careers. James
well,
Worthy,
four,
well, we know.
four, four, cause you got to say Sam Perkins. He played about 16, 17 seasons. So to me,
Well,
that's
that's
a
what I was
successful
naming. That's what
career.
I was saying. Michael Jordan, Sam Perkins,
And
and
Worthy.
and uh, uh and James Worthy. The 3.
And,
That's,
and Brad Daugherty.
no, you mean Matt? No, that wasn't Brad Doherty. Brad Doherty was with. Well,
It was
Matt. It was
Matt
Matt
Doherty.
Doherty. Brad Doherty
Yeah,
Matt
was
Matt,
with
Doherty.
Matt, Matt,
with
Matt, 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 Matt Daugherty. Matt Daugherty. That's what I meant.
yeah.
Yeah.
But my saying is, if you look at the Georgetown team, who did they? They had Ed Pinkney was the best player, and
No,
they had
that was Villanova. Ed Pinckney
yeah,
was Villanova.
yeah. What I'm saying, well, Villanova beat Georgetown.
Oh, you saying
That's what I'm
Villanova? Okay,
saying.
right. Okay,
That's
yeah.
the greatest upset win, because when Ed Pinkney was on Villanova, Villanova was super underdogs. You know what I'm
But they
saying?
had
They
great.
beat. They only, huh?
They had two. They had two. Remember, their backcourt was solid. The McLean brothers. Now they was
But
high. Now
they
they said that they played that game high because that's what was in the sport. They told their story in the Sports Illustrated. They said they was high
yeah.
then and was high when they went to the White House, and they said they could see the dandruff on President Reagan's on his jacket when they were standing behind him. But in my opinion, the greatest upset was the UNLV Duke game, because UNLV they were like, and Duke got them.
Mm-hmm.
And they
And,
just
and
Yeah,
like the
coach,
yeah.
Fab Five,
That's
right?
that's a good one.
and
Right.
That's
coach,
a good one.
why,
People
why,
talk about the Fab Five, and they said, well, I said that the answer is in every time you say that team. They said what? I said, what's the name of it? The Fab Five. I said, okay. What's the name of it? And they say the Fab Five. I said, okay. Do you understand why they didn't win? What do you mean? I said, what was the name of it? They said the Fab Five. You can't name the 6th player. You can't name number 7 player.
Yeah,
You can't
yeah.
win with 5 players. I
Uh-uh.
said that's
well,
and
coach,
people, and then
yeah,
when you don't, people, oh, he was out coached. He ain't had but 5 players. You can't name 6. I mean, you got to think how good UNLV was. Greg Anthony, you had Anderson Hunt, you had Stacey Augman, you had Larry Johnson, right? And you get out there, and Greg Anthony, you get out there, man. Okay, so who was their 6th man? Who was their 7th man? But Fab Five, you can't. Yeah, them freshmen was tight, but you can't win with 5 players, man. You can't do it. You just
yeah,
can't do it.
yeah,
And that's what and again, now the Georgetown loss to Carolina, yeah, that was back and forth. And I kind of question or think if you think back on it, I think the first 3 or 4 baskets by Carolina was a goaltender by Pat Ewing. So you don't know if
Mhm.
them baskets really would have went. But it was a turnover late in the game that cost them that they went down the course and hit the fouled them and hit the free throws. But I'm glad the same guy came back and they won it again, because I was a Georgetown fan back then. I just love Coach Thompson. That's why I was following them so hard. But yeah, I mean the Carolina team was that team was special, man. when you really look at it. And then Jordan was coming into his own, but they were, when you look at Jimmy Black, he was such a great guard, man. Such a great guard, right? He come down and then they just, everybody complimented everybody. Matt Doherty was the trash man. James Worthy was just buckets waiting to happen. Sam Perkins was that left hand in the lane. That's a lost art. I mean, Carolina, that team was a great, great team. And think about it, I love that Sports Illustrated cover that year. Jordan wasn't on it. It was just Dean in the four. Dean said he was not going to put a freshman on the cover. And that's just how Dean
Mhm.
was. But that team was, that team was special. Think about it. And then that summer, those guys played on the Olympic team. Jordan and
Mhm.
Perkins. And yeah, I mean
Yeah,
that
yeah,
was special, man. That was a special
yeah.
group of
You could
players.
go to NC State. The NC State one is too another one.
Oh my God. You talk about
Yeah,
now
that's another one. Yeah.
if you had to pick it up, yeah, because the way you, to me, the best game of that final, and that was in Albuquerque, New Mexico. To me, the best game of that tournament was the semifinals when Houston played Louisville. That was
Mhm.
just that.
Yeah,
That's when Louisville had Freddie and Scooter McCray, Rodney and Scooter
yeah.
McCray, and they were playing for Denny
Uh-huh.
Crum, right? And then of course, and then Five Slammer Jammer. To me, that was the best game. I thought for sure Houston was gonna kill North Carolina State, but you live by the three, and you live by the dunk, you die by the dunk, because they had
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
14 or 15 dunks in
Hey,
the
hey, I can,
Yeah.
semifinal.
Yeah.
I'm gonna
Uh-huh.
say this: a player that they don't bring up in college that I was a youngster
Mhm.
watching, and I was like, he can't be that good of a shooter. Man, listen, man. Glenn Rice did some things to people that was unbelievable in college.
What? Glenn Rice
Mhm.
was the truth.
Mhm.
Yes, that's a
Mhm.
great call. That
That's
was a
why when
great
they said
call.
that's when they said that who when this Michigan team was saying that they were going to be the greatest Michigan team to ever win if they got the championship, and when people are like, oh no, go with the '89 with that Glenn Rice and that Ramil Robinson team. Now they have
Man,
some
they
dogs on there. Like
man.
I don't know if this Michigan team got no NBA players that's going to really. Because think about it, Glenn Rice still went to the NBA, and I think he made the All Star game a couple of times, and
Yeah,
he was a dominant force in the NBA. So
hey,
I don't know if they really got a player. When I was watching the tournament, I didn't really the Michigan players. They was cool. They were just a great team. But I didn't really see nobody really stood out to me to say, oh, he the next one. I didn't
yeah,
see that on their team. You know what I'm
but no,
saying?
oh,
But this is what I
absolutely.
wanted to ask Jacob. The question I wanted to ask Jacob, or y'all, both is about both is for both of y'all, but this really for Jacob. I know he's a huge Big East fan. So they was basically saying the reason why the Big East kind of disinformed or whatever fell apart is because of the more of the football side. It really wasn't because of the basketball thing. Because even when Jim Boeheim in the end, when they felt like Jim Boeheim had more power than he could have maybe stopped from Syracuse to leaving. He said, "Come on, guys, y'all know this ain't about basketball. This is about football. This is about football money." When they started bringing all these teams to the Big East, to Miami, and all these teams, this was
Yep.
about football money. It wasn't about the basketball part of it. Well, we did it. We did as much as we could, as long as we could. But then I started thinking about it. St. John's don't have a football team. Doggone Georgetown don't have no football team. Or if they do, they not
They're
relevant
not a
ever.
powerhouse. They're not
Um,
a powerhouse.
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. All of them got,
Syracuse was the only.
all of them got football teams, but they're not powerhouse because you can
Yeah.
you can look through the NFL and it's players in the NFL. I'd be like, what? He went to Connecticut? What? You know what I mean? So
Mm-hmm.
it's some. They got a football team, but like, okay, we gonna say Indiana. Only thing I know about Indiana was Bobby Knight. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And his team. And so when I see Indiana win the championship this
Come
year,
on, Jack. You got to say Isaiah Thomas. You can't do it like that.
yeah, I know Isaiah, man, but I know that Bobby Knight had some players that come out of Indiana that's gonna forever be remembered. And they was
I ain't gonna
unbelievable.
let you do keep
They,
smart like that, Jacob. You ain't gonna
they,
do keep
they,
smart like that.
Man, listen, man. Listen, man. When you thought about Indiana, you thought about the players that Bobby Knight was recruiting, especially if you read Sports Illustrated and they had the section of the college honorable mention. Bobby Knight recruiting class was always in there. So I say
Mm-hmm.
this right
Mm-hmm.
here. when I seen Indiana win the championship, and you know, I was like, who did they go strong on and play Rambo on? You know what I mean? Indiana won the championship. Man, what?
Mhm.
Like I was like surprised, man, cause you seen it for the last 3, 4 years. They was getting better and better and better in football, and you be like, oh, football players want to go to Indiana, but it's cause what you said, Icon. The NIL gave up even playing field.
Mhm. Oh, and let me say this to y'all too. And it ain't no hate, no shade. This ain't no whatever. But Jordan's jump shot is not even close to me as being one of the greatest clutch performances. You got
No,
Mario Chalmers, you got Kimball Walker, you got Carmelo Anthony, and in shell, just freshman wise, you got Carmelo Anthony and you got Never Nervous Purvis. Them two, because they dominated the whole entire tournament and that particular championship game. If you're talking about not just a shot, they dominated the game. You know what I'm
correct.
saying?
So
So
Icon,
those
let me ask
two
you,
were,
hold back up. Let me ask you this, bro. Turn the wheel, easy, turn it down, the turn top, the diamond in back. Ooh wee, yeah. So we're gonna ask you this. When they show highlights of college championships, what's the most legendary jump shot they show? MJ.
they show Jordan because we know why
Yeah,
they do that, bro. Stop it, bro. We not doing that. That's not they. You know why they do that. You
you
know what I'm
know why
saying?
they
But
do
I'm
that.
saying it's still. But I'm just saying for me, it's not the greatest performance. It's not the greatest shot when you start talking about those iconic shots. That yeah, he's probably the first freshman to really make that type of shot. But if you look at the performance over the whole game, Never Nervous Purvis, Carmelo Anthony had better overall games when it come to that when it comes to
Right,
freshmen dominating a game in a
right.
championship game. That's all
Yeah.
I'm saying. I'm not
Well, I
saying it.
mean,
It's iconic,
I
but it's
mean,
not the most iconic thing that ever happened.
well, I mean, we agree to disagree, and opinions like a butthole. Everybody got one, so that's your opinion.
Yeah,
I
you're
understand
right.
that.
You're right.
And he
I'm
was
just
wide.
saying for
And
me.
hey,
I'm just
call it
saying
what
for
it
me.
was. He was wide open, right? No hand up, and it wouldn't have been a three
Exactly.
point. It was a long 2-pointer.
But coach, how many people be wide open and miss the bucket? You know what I mean?
I get, but I mean, it was just, in my opinion. Again, I'm not trying to rain on it. When he came down and they kicked it over to him, he didn't hesitate. He went up and knocked the shot down. It wasn't like at the end of the
Jordan,
shot clock.
tell the truth, though. Jordan could have ate a sandwich on that play.
Oh
He
my
waved to
God,
his mama in the crowd. He
he
did a
was
lot
wide
of stuff.
open. Eh,
He was so wide open. That's one of them shots you take when you in practice,
That was
just
just
BSing around. And it
it
wasn't
was
even a
yeah.
20-foot. It was like a 15-foot shot.
Yeah, it
So it
was
wasn't.
in
That's what I'm
today's
saying.
game. It was definitely a mid. It was definitely a Kevin Durant mid range.
Okay.
You
I
know what I'm
mean,
saying?
I
That's
get
all
all
I'm
that,
saying.
but I'm gonna give y'all something easy better since both of y'all die hard Carolina fans just like me. I tell people this all the time, and they argue the fact. I say I don't care what you say. The reason why Michael Jordan was so great because whatever Dean Smith embedded in his mind, in his soul when he was at North Carolina, he took that throughout the NBA with him. That's why Michael Jordan is the greatest he is.
Yeah, he the GOAT. Hey, we ain't talking about the GOAT. We can't
No, no,
argue
no,
the
no,
GOAT.
no,
He the
no, no,
GOAT.
no, no, no.
I'm
You ain't listen to what I said. You ain't listening to
uh-huh.
some coaches embed something in your mind in the atmosphere when you there, and that carries with you no matter where you go play it. And I think that Dean Smith did that for Michael Jordan. That's what I think.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Because to me, if you look even Carolina like shots, Caleb Love shot in the Carolina Duke game that one year was bigger. The one this year, this past year, they was down the whole entire game, came back and Trimble hit the shot in the corner. To me, was just as big a shot as that. Only difference because it was a national championship game. But as far as being a clutch shot, it was a very those were very clutch shots when you talking about just if you just break it down to Carolina's biggest shots, you know what I'm saying, or whatever
Oh,
that ever
absolutely,
happened. You know what
absolutely,
I'm
yeah,
saying? So
yeah.
so that all
Well,
I'm saying
well,
is to
well, well,
me
well I
is
can't. You can't possibly say the only difference it was the national championship game. That's the biggest difference.
well, all I'm saying is
But it
because
wasn't
for
a
one, all
game
I'm
winning
saying,
shot. It wasn't a
All I'm
game
saying is
winning shot.
yeah, all I'm saying is if we look at overall, because when they show Jordan shot, they don't always just compare it to he just being a freshman. They'll say it's one of the greatest shots in NCAA tournament history, and even championship games or whatever in those situations. I'm just saying, as far as performance wise, the whole thing, that wasn't the greatest moments. To me, it's
No.
not the greatest moment. They make it feel like it's the greatest moment when they keep showing that shot over and over. But like Coach said, hell, he was so wide open, you would have been in the gym by himself.
And it wasn't a game winner. Here you go. I put it this way: the kid from UConn shot and Caleb Love shot, in my opinion, are parallel. Right? You make that shot, team goes to the Final Four. Caleb Love hit that shot against Duke. That's an iconic shot. Now it's not gonna resonate with people. One, because he didn't finish at Carolina. When you transfer,
Mhm.
man, that kind of just takes your name off the books, right? And you didn't win in the national championship game. So people say Caleb Love, oh yeah, yeah, yeah. But think about what he did when he left Carolina. But the same thing with the kid from UConn. He hadn't had a good game, and then it was great. That senior, he was covered. He kicked it back to the young kid. He leaned into it. Boy from Duke didn't close out. And another, let me cover this real quick. Boy, they let John Shire off that daggone hook. Ain't it funny how they'll dog the black coach out? But when the white coach get out there and make a play like that, and he clearly pointing down the floor to throw it down the floor, and here's the call out. I'm gonna ask you guys this as we close. Why wasn't Foster on the floor? Why
I
was
don't
his
even know.
best guard? Why was his best guard not on the floor? And you take Foster out of the game, they don't get by the St. John's game. That kid won the St. John's game for him.
You're right.
You
You're
know
right.
what
You're
that
right.
was.
But
That was them boosters up there saying we playing these booster boys. They need to be on the floor. So that's what that was.
Icon, what I called that shot from UConn, I said we have a white Robert Ory in college. That's exactly what I said.
Yeah.
But
Well,
you, hey,
Hey,
hey, I'm gonna make this public record right now. I was watching that game, and as that game was winding at halftime, we got up and everybody freshened up their beverage, and I said, "You are going to watch the second half of a colossal meltdown." And they was like, "What? There ain't no way." I said, "Okay." I said, "Talk to me when that game's over with, right?" And I'm not saying that, but when you look at that, it's my first question I said, and after everybody stopped cheering, I said, why wasn't Foster on in that game? Why wasn't he taking the ball out of bounds? Throw it in the booze, you give it back to Foster and let him hold it, let him go down, get fouled, knock the free throws down. But the kid was on the side. So if I ever had the opportunity to talk to John Shire, I ain't gonna talk about nothing but say, why was your best guard not in the ball game?
Well,
and
coach.
then I'm gonna tell you this, coach. That man got out coached. Ain't no
Oh,
way
absolutely.
that ain't no way that UConn should have even been in that game.
Absolutely. But
Mhm.
see, they won't call him out. Hubert Davis don't have his best man in the game, in the arena, hardly, and you're gonna put him on Skid Row. And John Shire has lost in the Final Four, and he made it to the Final Four. No, dude, it's about championships. Whether if I go out in the first round or if I'm in the Final Four, am I in the national championship game? No. Do I have the best players in college basketball? Yes. Do I have the biggest team in college basketball? Yes. And I don't
And
win
so,
2 years in a row? No,
and
dude.
so this is what I say, Icon and coach. I said that it's coming up on Mike Krzyzewski, the people he recruited is over. Now we're gonna see what John gonna do and watch how that Duke program go down. Watch.
Yeah.
He
Well,
ain't
I'm
going
gonna say this
nowhere.
before we. Yeah.
Coach
I'm
K
gonna
ain't
say this
going.
before we close.
Coach K ain't going nowhere. He's still sitting in the corner.
Yeah. I'm gonna say this before we leave out. So what you said, Coach, earlier when you said about the freshmen with the Fab Five, they was Fab freshmen. That's all it was. They really had on that team. And in the
Five.
history, that's the reason why what we just talked about, the Michael Jordan, the Purvis Ellison, the Carmelo Anthony things are so big because it's very seldom that freshmen lead you to championships. They may be on the team when you
Correct.
win, but they're not the biggest component on your team in most cases.
That's
And the
right.
thing about it is we put so much pressure on these young boys. They're still boys when they come in the league. Some of them barely 18 when they get to the tournament. So we put these young boys on all this pressure on them to win, and when they don't, then we don't want to put no blame on the coaches. We want to put it all on these players or whatever. When they're at the moment where whether it was the Boozer kid, whether it was Chris Webber being 19, 20 years old, those are mistakes that young people make on a basketball court. You know what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, and even the NBA, it takes years to develop. That's why the league fell off so badly, because when you got 18, 19-year-olds coming in, it's going to take more than 2, 3 years for them to develop. That's why you don't see them really get to their full development till they 25, 26 years old, but you already rushing a bunch of new freshmen in and start trying to call them the next Michael Jordans or the next LeBrons or the next Kobe's or the next whatever, and you ain't even developed the players that was before them yet. You know what I'm saying? So that's why the NBA has this recycling door of bad teams and halfway decent players. You know what I'm saying? But yeah,
I'm gonna say this, coach. Steve Kerr no good coach. I'm gonna tell you why. I'm gonna tell you why I think that. What that boy is doing over there in ATL, Georgia, down at the ATL Aliens, and Steve Kerr had him for all them years. Man, listen, man. Something was going on. He did not develop that boy. That boy been good, man. He ain't just all of a sudden getting off like that.
The same
yeah,
thing it
that's
do.
stuff for that age.
That's the same thing it do.
Mm-hmm.
So you tell me you got Kopernick or whatever his name is and playing for the Hornets, and you got and you got Flag, and you don't win the national championship, and them juggers almost scoring 50 points a game in the NBA. Now, John Shire, what more can you do? I mean, first of all, it's a shame how Kopernick had to play behind Flag. If you would have turned him loose and quit trying to make it the Flag show, Duke could have cut down them nets. But see, they won't call him. They won't call him out, man. They won't call him out. They won't put the blame. They won't put the blame on the players. Right. But then when it's
how much sunny do you need it to be? How many times? How bad do you need the sun to be out, the birds to be chirping? How much more do you need? You know what I'm saying? To win a national championship. Because the thing about it was, I say this. We can say this all we want about Hubert Davis, and I'm about to call for them to go a different direction. But at the end of the day, he didn't have the talent Duke had. Not even close.
No.
Not even close.
No, you know what I mean? And that's what I keep trying to tell people. I said, but why is it? I'm not trying to make it a black and white thing, but when the black guy wins, he's got players. When a white coach wins, he can coach. Okay, right? Ask Phil Jackson that. What did he do when he got to New York? He ain't have no players. He took his butt to the front office, right? When you ain't got, I don't care what kind of coach you are. You got to have players. And John Shire has had them, and nobody want to call that dude out, man. Nobody does. They let him off the hook in the press conference. Call him out, and they won't do it. Hubert Davis, he's standing there. Why'd you only play 6 players? I mean, they calling him out. It's just, that's the thing, man. But that's a whole different show, brother. Woo, don't get me. I got blood pressure up.
I got one last question for you, gentlemen, and then we can get out of here. You know, I follow women's NCAA basketball. Boy, it's crazy. The first day of the portal, 1,300 and female collegiate basketball athletes hit the portal. Man, that's crazy, man.
Yeah, it is crazy. I can't even speak on good women's college basketball, so I ain't gonna act like Steven ain't out like I know about everything about every sport. So I'm just gonna leave that one alone.
That's money, man. That money. Yep.
Yeah. But anyway, fellas, great show. Great the way to be back. Yeah, we took our little 2 weeks break off, so we kind of seemed like it because we sounded fresh tonight. We sounded like we was a little animated.
It's the subject matter, dude. That subject matter gets you fired.
Yeah, that's what it was. Yeah, that too. So anyway, fellas, I'm glad we back doing our thing, man. Y'all keep supporting this 910 Sports, man. God bless everybody, and see y'all on the next show.
Have a great one.
Peace.
Mm-hmm.